Alright, guys. True Detective, Season 2, Episode 2, Night Finds You. Coming off of last week, I was talking about how I just wasn't as invested in the show as I was in the first season, and I had kind of hoped with Episode 2 and onward that I was going to get more of that kind of just, like, creeping intensity that the first season had. And, I made my review right after I watched the first episode, and I gave it a 7.5, and I was honestly a little bit disappointed. So, yeah, in the days that followed, though, I began to, like, think about it more and more and more, and I ended up setting up my HBO Go, and I watched the first episode, like, 3 more times, and I'm on board now, okay? I do agree that I don't think this season so far is as strong as the first season, but I like it, and it's definitely, there's definitely still stuff there to process and to think about. So if you haven't rewatched episode 1, I would go and rewatch episode 1, because you're going to find a lot more, you're just going to find, it's just richer, you need time to digest that. So, moving into episode 2, Night Finds You. Quickly, I'm going to be talking spoilers. All my True Detective videos have spoilers, so if you haven't watched the episode, watch the episode first. If you don't care, I warned you. Fuck the ending. Oh my god. I'm going to get this out of the way. First, watching Velcoro get shot down by kind of a masked assailant in like a weird bird mask with like a double-barrel shotgun. Jesus Christ. One, I hope they don't kill that character, because Colin Farrell so far has been the best thing about the show, and if they kill him, for me, that's one less reason to watch. As I said in last week's episode review, I cared about his character more than I cared about anybody else in the entire show, so I really hope they don't kill him. There have been, like, stills, and there's a bunch of stuff in, like, the promotional trailers and things like that has Colin Farrell that we haven't seen yet. So I think it's a fake out, or he's critically injured or something, but shit, very creepy, very well done. Let's get into the episode. The episode starts off, you have these 3 detectives, Paul Woodrow, Roy Velcoro, and Anagon Bezerides. I think that's how you say her name. Everyone calls her Annie, but they bring her name up. And basically they're all tasked with figuring out who killed Caspar. And it's kind of has turned into a bit of a political thing, where all 3 of these cities are going after, or 2 of the cities are going after Vinci, because there's a lot of money, and there's a lot of waste and a lot of corruption, and they're trying to build a case against it. So they're all kind of tasked with figuring out what happened to this person, and can they use that in their, like, mounting defense. Also, while Frank Semyon is trying to get his money, because he had a bunch of money that was done in, like, liquidated assets, like $5 million in liquidated assets, which he was going to use to purchase the property so he can basically build his, what is the word for it? His metro, per se. And with Kaspar's killing, there's $5 million of his dollars that have now disappeared. So, the mystery, we get a little bit more of it. I'm still not totally invested in the kind of the Vinci stuff. I'm more invested in the characters. And episode 2, it did a good job kind of playing with who they are. Roy Velcoro is still the best character in my opinion. I think Colin Farrell just brings this kind of just sense of, it's like a lived-in character that it's just a kind of a gravitas, that, like, Matthew McConaughey brought, and I don't really know how to put it, but he still gets the majority of kind of the scene-stealing moments. But this episode for me also really, whereas last episode, Vince Vaughn's character, Frank Semyon, I didn't have a lot that I liked here. I really liked what happened with him in the second episode. You kind of get to see those gangster roots. He's intimidating people, he's threatening people, he's muscling people, trying to get what he wants, and I thought that was pretty cool. I like Vince Vaughn, so I've been rooting for him the whole time, and he gave me more of that here. Also, Rachel McAdams, I wasn't a big fan of her in the first episode, and this episode gave me a little bit more. We're learning that her Annie character is kind of this no bullshit, weird, sex-obsessed detective from like a weird hippie background, and it's just strange. I have a weird feeling, and I'm calling it now, that this whole show is going to end up being wrapped in some kind of weird sexual Illuminati conspiracy. That's what I'm calling right now, because all the signs keep pointing to that, and there so far has just been this weird like cytosexual tone to it. Paul Woodrow, Taylor Kitsch's character, still the character I care least about, but he did have some really good scenes, especially one just like very, very uncomfortable scene with, I guess, is his mom, where she's just very touchy-feely, and it's just very creepy and very eerie, and they start talking about like all of his kind of military past. What they don't talk about is military past, but they're still talking about it, which leads me to believe that this is just some guy who is basically borderline insane with PTSD, and had done, I guess, kind of what Blackwater had done, just done some really unethical kind of things while he was overseas. So I'm interested to see where he goes. Right now, he's the weakest character in the show. I do have to say, though, after this episode, that Annie Bezride's character, Rachel McAdams, I'm just really interested to know what her, like, sexual thing is. Because, you know, the first episode, we open up with her and, I guess, her boyfriend talking about something, which, in my book, I kind of think it was, like, butt stuff, I guess. I don't know. But then here she's, like, watching porn, and for HBO, we got, like, very explicit for a second. It's like we were watching porn in a TV show, so it's very strange. I want to see what's up with that. There were a lot of good scenes in this. What I really like about True Detective is when it gets kind of eerie and creepy, and there's a scene where Ray Velcoro and Annie Bezrides go to kind of a plastic surgeon, and basically they're talking about Kaspar's killing and the kind of stuff that he did and how they helped him, and it's this weird, just very uneasy vibe, and we have that weird kind of creepy music, and it's just one of those just very strange altercations, and the guy who runs the kind of plastic surgery self-help retreat talks about Annie's hippie father, who we met in the first episode, and how there was 5 kids on the commune. 2 of them were in jail, 2 had committed suicide, and the other one was Annie. So it's just a very strange thing. There were a lot of good scenes in here. Some of Nick Pizzolatto, I'm sorry, I'm just butchering everybody's name, but I'm sorry. Some of his dialogue does come off a bit hammy, and a lot of the actors aren't totally 100% with it, and, you know, it is kind of corny. I think Matthew McConaughey was just at that point where a lot of the weird stuff he said just sounded cool, just because of where he was in life. But the opening scene with Vince Vaughn, as he's talking about how Vince Vaughn's character, how his drunk dad would lock him in the basement, and his dad had gotten arrested and left him in the basement for 5 days in the dark, and after 2 days his food had gone away, and at the 5th day, or I think it's at the 3rd or 4th day, the rats had come out and kind of started to essentially eat him. That was just a very, very creepy and unsettling monologue that it really painted that character in a different light, and I thought it was pretty cool, and kind of so far kind of just this analogy for the show, just like what the show is so far. Just continuing on, I think I kind of like the Frank Simeon and Ray Velcoro meetings towards the end of each episode. They meet in Frank's bar while some woman sings, and I hope they release a soundtrack, because whoever that singer is, she's fantastic. She has a fantastic voice. All those songs are in my head just constantly. It's fantastic. She has a really haunting voice. But I think it's kind of cool to kind of end each episode with these 2 characters talking about kind of what they do, and in this one you kind of get the fact that Ray might possibly be considering suicide. He doesn't have his kid, and everyone, I'm pretty sure at this point, knows that his kid is not his kid. I'd love for there to be a twist at the end where you find out that his kid really is his kid. I think that would be a very cool way, but I think this show is just kind of too nihilistic to do that. I don't know. And then the ending, you have Colin Farrell, Ray Velcoro, sneaking into the Hollywood kind of retreat of Kaspar, and he is gunned down after finding this kind of weird sex dungeon soundproofed place. So, is he dead? Is he not dead? I don't know. True Detective, Season 2, Episode 2, I really liked it. Yeah, it's good. It's not Again, it's not as compelling as the first season, but it's definitely picking up pace a little bit. I hope it continues to do that. I am getting crazy kind of Chinatown vibes from this thing. So if you like Chinatown, I want to know what you think. I'm going to give... I'm not sure what this episode's called all of a sudden, I just forgot, but I'm going to give this episode an 8 out of 10. Definitely a step up from the last episode. I'm excited for what's next. Thanks for watching, as always, guys. Down below is my link to Twitter. Follow me for more of this. And yeah, comment, let me know what you think of the episode. So, as always, I'll see you later.